And it is May 3rd, 2016. It is 3:48 a.m. in the morning. I'm going to start out reading the daily word for today. We are one in spirit. We are all created from the same spiritual substance. Every person, every creature, every atom, every cell. Still, some people have the perception that we're separate from each other. Despite our differences, ethnicities, backgrounds, locales, languages, and more, we are the same. We are so much more than the labels and limitations we place on each other and ourselves. Beneath the surface, the same invisible force of spirit is at work within us. So rather than identifying others by race, profession, or gender, let's choose to treat each other as children of the divine, united by our spiritual lineage. We share the same quality of spirit, the same universal center of truth. We are perfect and eternal beings. We are one in spirit. And the scriptures from Ephesians 4 verses 4. There is one body and one spirit. And now I'm going to read from the Science of the Mind. And by the way, the title, what I just read, I forgot to mention, is Unity. Haven't I always spoken about that? I said unity, oneness. The title for today, the Science of the Mind, May 3rd, is I Rejoice in All Good. We cannot demonstrate our own good while wishing that someone else be kept from having good. Frederick Bales. The Science of the Mind, page 263, is I do not need to imitate anyone or too long for the good that belongs to another. All good is now mine and now manifests in my experience. One afternoon, I took a walk on a fishing pier near my home. I enjoyed watching the people and observing what they were catching. My interest heightened, however, when I became aware of the prosperity principles being expressed. When someone caught a fish, not one of the other fishermen felt his good was taken from him. No one experienced a sense of personal injury when a new arrival appeared with fishing tackle and bait. No one packed his gear and left with resentment when someone else was successful in catching a fish. On the contrary, when a fish was caught, the prevailing atmosphere was one of rejoicing. Everyone was filled with increased expectancy. They saw this as an indication that they too could succeed. They knew there was plenty for all. As we rejoice with others when they receive their good, we open ourselves so that our good can easily flow to us. There is infinite abundance in the universe. Rejoice in all good. And the affirmation is, I rejoice in all good. As I do, I open the way for increased blessings to appear in my life. This is such a beautiful thing for today because I'm going to fast forward, because I thought I was going to go in sequential order to what's happening today. But you know what? To heck with that. I got to talk about what's happening now immediately because Linda doesn't even know this. She doesn't even know this. And Linda Summers, Spirit led me, guided me to contact her. Just because of me wishing happy birthday to John Bellows. And he said to me, I hear you speaking on the radio, Sharon. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm always so innocent when I hear something like, yeah, I know. And he says, and I said, and I know. And he said, I know you're going to be on TV. I said, yes, I know. I just don't know how. I said, come on, hook me up, man. That's what I said to him. But you know what? When I said to him, hook me up, I heard Spirit say, Linda. And I was like, light bulb went off in my head. Linda. And it's like I felt like as if an energy was like sort of like dissipating with her. Like there wasn't too much action going on, so to speak, So I decided to reach out to her day before yesterday. Now I have to say day before yesterday. Right, day before yesterday. This was Sunday. And I got a response back from her. And so we decided to talk. Yesterday. I got it. Anyway, 2 days after, just put it that way, because the time is going so quickly. Keeping up with it is just amazing. And so there's a reason why I'm telling you the story ahead of the other stories, because when I read what I read just a while ago, I rejoice in all good. It's because it applies to something that happened through me to do with her. She's an Aquarian like me. It happens to be that on her birthday, January 28th, was the day that I found out, or I was led to the information that I am the goddess Isis, my remembrance. And everybody knows how long I've been waiting to hear from a publisher or anything, and Spirit pushed me to put out those segments out there. to do with the book and everything, and I was running away from it. Remember I said I discovered that I was the runner. I was the runner after all, running away from Ivan and what we agreed to do together. But sometimes I believe that some twins probably feel that the runner is more like you're running away from your twin with what you see with them. But remember, they are our mirror. And so he's a part, he or she is a part of everything to do with your life, everything. And so anything that you are running away from, and when I say running away, that includes what you're resistant to do, something that you feel that you should be doing it, but you really don't want to do it because you think about how much might be involved with it, which was me. I was like, it's too much involved here. And Spirit just allowed my child to help me. And she was helping me willingly from her heart. My daughter was not doing this because she can't stand it. She loves helping me. And so, when I have energy that's working with me that wants to do it, it makes it easier. And she's very smart and quick like me. She knows sometimes I don't have the patience, but she's such a doll. And she's brilliant too. I mean, she just knows what to do, and I just like bam, And so I was resistant, and then there was a inhibition also because I wasn't sure if there was really that much of anybody that would be that interested yet, because I didn't feel I had the audience also, and also I was wrestling with myself if anybody's going to believe me. So all of that is a part of the self-acceptance, and then of course me speaking up, because I don't have a problem speaking up, but then I never like to think that I do anything if I feel I'm wasting my time. So anyway, of course, the Spirit moved me to announce who I am, and, went through all that story and whatever happened, And so here I am. And lots of wonderful things have been happening just because of me putting myself in a space of, guess what? Feeling in love again and making love. You heard me. That's what has brought on all this energy of shifts in my life within the past 24 to 48 hours. Within the past 24 to 48 hours, my girlfriend Cici came through for me to help me out by gifting to me some money to help me out for the week. The next thing that happens was just because I reached out to say happy birthday to John, that led me from Spirit guiding me what to do. And it's like everything just feels so different now compared to the past 48 hours. I feel lighter. Even just changing the bedspread in my bedroom shifted things. I washed my own hair. I styled it. I felt so good. I still put on my face. Then I called Christine and asked her if she could do my hair for me, and I pay her part of it. And she says, no. She says, Sharon, when are you going to have extra, get paid? I said, oh, maybe by next week. She said, you know what? I'll do your hair for you, and you can pay me when you can, the following week, whenever. Now, I wasn't expecting that. But you see, that's how things work out magically. Magically. My light is still on. I mean, even though, whatever I had to do, it went in another direction, but it's okay. It's still on. See, I don't want to let out the secret over the air. I'd rather talk to you privately, because sometimes you got to just think what to do. There's always something that can work out each time, no matter how many times that you've gone through it. And so that's magical. It all has been happening magically for me. And so I realized how I got to that place of things being magical for me. It's because I came back to being in love again. I came back to being in love again, and I came back to not only being in love, but making love with Ivan. And you say, making love with Ivan? Yes. It's an energetic thing. It doesn't matter whether you're physically together. And what it does, it sends out a vibration and a wave. It sends out a frequency. It starts to ignite things, you see? And it's like, how it works is like as if you're not even consciously thinking about what you're creating. It just starts to happen. Bam, 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 left, right, and center. It sends out a wave and a frequency. And I know he was feeling it too, because I started to get music coming to me from him of how much he was thinking about me. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I heard it was one of the songs was, oh my gosh, what's his name? These names. Smokey Robinson. He really got a hold on me. So I was just in amazement. And so a lot of shifting and changing has been taking place with the masculine. The masculine is now, the ones who are working the way towards their true masculine, divine masculinity, is about stepping into their manhood with their feminine. I think that's the best way I can put it. Stepping into your manhood with the feminine. No longer him being himself alone and no longer her being herself alone. That's what this is about. So with Linda now, because I want to explain to you, because since I read, because I was, weighing myself whether or not I should wait till I talk about Linda and then go to what is being shown to me by spirit that she doesn't even know yet. And I just have a feeling this is the way it's going to be, because we're doing this show together. She loves to talk. She's a radio announcer, and she's also gifted in her way. And then so when I spend 4 or 5 hours, which we know that always that's how it starts out. When I start talking to you, especially if I'm talking to you already, be prepared, 4 or 5 hours. And you might say, oh, there's no way I'll talk to you for 4 or 5 hours. Really? I have a list of people I can give you that you can ask them what happens when you first start talking to Sharon. The Nefertiti in me will talk and talk and talk. And then it gets more exciting and more exciting. I just bring you back to life. That's it. We bring ourselves back to life. It just becomes exhilarating, exciting, intriguing. It's like when you hear me talking, it's like watching and hearing the movie at the same time. That's what it is. And it's a lot of energy. But anyway, in the interim of things, I'm so thrilled to know that even before we even spoke, I knew we were going to be doing something together. I just felt it. So Alice, the two Alices, so we have Alice, Linda, and Alice Sharon. We are becoming so creative together magically with so many ideas on what we're going to be doing to be able to talk about love, and sex and feminine and masculine relationships, the relationship, who we are, and everything put together. And I have all these ideas and stuff, because she was just duplicating everything that I felt and said, that I'm not doing this by myself. And she also would help people, and she tries not to think about, charging anyone for anything. I told her, oh my God, I'm the same way, because I love to help people, and I always keep saying, oh, God is blessing me. But, Spirit says it's time that we honor ourselves. We have to honor ourselves. And so we had to be deciding, where this is going to go as far as monetarily, because we want to help others, we want to bring everybody together. I mean, that's the main thing for me, and the truth to come out. My daughter, God bless her, she was listening in our conversation, and she came up with the name of the show, The Golden Truth. And then Linda's part that comes into it is Raw and Real. And I told her, I said, this makes me feel like as if this is going to be like Howard Stern show, but everything is in truth, reality, love, joy, comedy, everything. I could just see it now. And so I started to get a floodgate of information just flowing through me. So trying to think, how are we going to do this with it? Things being fair for her and fair for me. And I was trying every way to pull in the information. And I told her, I kept hearing commercials, commercials also. She said, well, Sharon, you meditate, and I know Spirit is going to guide you as to what to do. So I did find out and decide what I'm going to do, so that way it's fair for her, because she already feels it in her heart that people are going to want to get readings from me. And I felt it too, but I didn't want her to be left out, because she's not to be left out. So I had to talk to her about her relationship with money, because when anything is a little lopsided one way more than the other, then this is where we work as far as divine partnerships, because that's what partnerships are. Partnership is not about if you have something with one gift and the other one, and there others take advantage of the other because they feel that they should have more because they do more, or there's more about them. It's not that. This is supposed to be where whatever I'm lacking, she is the one that handles that, and wherever she's lacking, I fit into that. So we fit in together like a pieces to a puzzle. That's what partnerships is all about. That's what it's all about. It's not supposed to be one-sided or just two-sided. It's all-sided, like a hexagon, so to speak. So I still couldn't, I told her, I said, okay, we started writing down the pros and the cons and everything like that. And then finally it hit me. I said, I think I figured it out. So I told her when I talked to her tomorrow, because I thought I was going to be talking to her Wednesday, but to heck with that. We so excited that I told her, I said, I'll call you tomorrow when I'm doing my nails. And she said, no, don't rush. I said, oh, heck no, I don't want to wait because I'm so excited. I feel like I can't sleep already and I have so much things in my, plus Ivan is on my mind more than ever before because he's thinking about me so strong and it's so powerful. So I said I might as well just stay up and just record and do whatever else segments, that I haven't been able to do. So it's like I feel like as if I'm getting into gaps of every other day or every 2 days now. But I want to be in the moment of when things are happening. And I know Spirit will always have me record when it is necessary because everything is in synchronicity or synchronicity or something like that. Because I was told for some reason that all this time I've been pronouncing synchronicity in a different way. And he said, no, it's okay, Sharon. Oh, it was John. He said, it's okay. He said, I know, but I said, maybe it's a Jamaican way I've been saying it. I don't know. But anyway, he said, no, maybe that's the new way we're supposed to say it. I said, okay. I wasn't conscious of it at all. But either way, this is the main point I want to make to do with Linda. Is that whatever I told her, what I read for her, I told her I felt so much joy coming from her soul. So much joy. And this was after the fact that I was off the phone with her. And I told her that I felt so happy for her from what I was feeling and seeing, that it's like as if I was feeling it for her and rejoicing with her because I felt so ecstatic for her, like as if it was happening to me. That's how thrilled I felt for her, genuinely. And then, like I said, I figured out what to do so that way things are evenly and fairly between the both of us. And it's like as if we're just best friends and sisters from centuries. That's how I feel. That even I know that she worked with me back in Egypt, and it's just such a warm. I mean, it's like another girlfriend I've had, and we're like really just catching up in 4 hours. It didn't even matter with what. It was just so warm and informal and just such a blessing in my heart and soul. So the thing is, what's so interesting is that now that I know what I'm going to approach her with, and she said to me, because I told her, I said, ideas have been flowing through me, and the Spirit has given me an idea that I feel will work. And so she just responded to me in the text and said she knew that it was going to come to me. She was looking forward to hearing what it is. So now that I feel more comfortable now with the idea that flowed through me, and I ran it by Lauren, and she totally agrees with the idea, what I thought of. And so when I see this here now, because I didn't read the signs of the mind, till now as I'm reading it in the moment. And it says, I rejoice in all good. And see, I was rejoicing for Linda. I was rejoicing for her because of all the things I feel coming for her. And because she's so excited. I think this is the best excitement she's had in such a long, long time. And she was so thankful for us coming together. I said, this is all Spirit. This is all Spirit. And you see, it says we cannot demonstrate our own good while wishing that someone else be kept from having good. And this is the part that comes in when it comes to the partnerships that we have with each other. There is a saying, there's enough of everything to go around, and everything is in abundance. Because that's one of the things I mentioned to her. I said, remember that in life, everything, we are creating a flow of abundance for ourselves, knowing that you are the money. The money does grow on trees. There is enough money to go around. Another thing, God is money, and God is the source, and that all things and everything can come through you regardless of whether money is involved or not. So when you allow yourself to know that you are creative, whether you have the money or not, that you're creative to create things in your life, if you do have money or not, because you are the energy of money. And so you pull things to you. Like I told her that money used to fall out of the sky practically right in front of my feet. Seriously, $50 here and 20 here and 10 here. I'll never forget that. It was just so delightful for me as a little girl. It was so magical, And so as you see, as I read here again, when it says, it's talking about the fishing. The fisherman was happy because the guy comes along and he got the fish. Because you see, when you put that energy of there in knowing and rejoicing that someone else is receiving their good, you open up yourself to receiving more good for yourself. You know why? because it's a cause and effect. It's something that is like whatsoever you do to me, you do it to the least of my brethren. And see, I thought to myself, I don't want Linda to feel bad, but then I can't allow myself to feel resentful if I'm doing my part, and then there isn't anything more that is not evenly divided between the both of us in terms of who's going to do what, or monetarily how it works out, and so on and so forth. And being that this is my first time doing this, because the main objective for the both of us is how much we're just eager to be out there and get the information out. But still, at the same time, we must honor ourselves and each other. And so, and plus trust and all that stuff. And I know that, when it comes to trust, it's like I'll feel it immediately or not. It's no more waiting until something happens like, dag, I think I trust that, or him or her. No, it happens now. It's in the now. And then I told her, I said, let's only focus when we keep our consciousness up there. Meaning that even if, I told her, I said, even if I thought to myself, oh, I want to do things this way, but her consciousness is saying, but this is what I deserve to have. Even if she doesn't speak out the words, if your consciousness is up there where you're saying, I deserve to have the best, I deserve to have everything brought towards me in fairness, and that there is a flow all the time, and I'm not to be cheated, and then what will happen is the universe will work with both of us to make sure the ideas flow to us as far as what to do, so that way it becomes balanced between the both of us, even if we're not consciously aware of it. So in other words, when you keep your consciousness up there, okay, and this is for those who are holding that energy, and at the same time you want to help someone, but remember, they have to help themselves too. So it's for you to show them, tell them, allow them to see for themselves how much more they go up another level within themselves, and that's how they're becoming creative. Because you can't create for someone; they're creating it for themselves. But it's for them to realize, or for you to show it to them, point it out to them, how much they raise the bar to what they deserve to have, because it's all flowing through each and every one of us. And then when we have that together, like if, where Jesus said, where two or more are gathered in my name, and so it is. So I knew that when I said to her, what is your relationship with money? Hi, Cheryl. What is your relationship with money? Because Cheryl is one of my friends. I had that great topic with her when I first met her too, and that was for 5 hours. She will never forget that. And ever since I've had that conversation with her, her consciousness went up a whole lot when it comes to her relationship with money. Your relationship with money, which I know I've spoken about that before, is essential. Just as much as how you like to know what what kind of relationship you want to have with a man or a woman, or a male or female, whichever way. It's just as important. How do you feel about it is just as important as how does it affect you? What value do you place on it? Where do you think it comes from? How do you think it comes across? You see, because even if, there's some that say, well, I have the money, and then all of a sudden it disappears. Okay, because there's a fear behind it. Or I never seem to have money at all. Or, what is your thought about it? Where is your consciousness when it comes to the money? You see? And that's something also to work on within your relationships, because if your relationship with money is at a place where there's fear, doubt, or lack and limitation, or there's never enough, then you're creating a space of there's never enough, there's lack and limitation. And it would be much harder for you to be able to have a relationship with someone as far as a business relationship or a business partnership. So being that it was so wonderful and easy to be able to talk to Linda about that and explain it to her, and for her to understand that about herself and her relationship with money, she got it. And she realized. And so we both within ourselves did not want to compromise anything at all. And so we said we'll sleep, meditate on it, and then, within an hour or so, the idea and the thought came to me how things can be fairly, and how I do it. I don't just say, hey, this is what we're going to do. No, I present it as a question. How do you feel about that? That is how we work in partnerships, that we get to that level, that point where we're in agreement together wholeheartedly. And if the other person feels something, if you ever feel any doubt whatsoever or anything that jumps out at you or doesn't feel right, you are to honor your feelings. You honor your feelings until when you feel at that point where both parties or three parties, whatever, how much involved, is in agreement and everyone feels comfortable. And this is where we stay. This is authenticity. This is being real. This is, because I said, how do you feel about that? Be straight with me. Be straight with me how you feel. Let's not dance around anything. You know what I mean? Because that is how it works. And what that does is it opens the door for each person to be authentic. It opens the door for us to have that intimate type of relationship where there's trust involved. There's an openness involved where we can be candid with each other and loving at the same time, and all of that at the same time. And when we have that type of comfortable type of relationship, then the value of the partnership is solid. It's solid. That's how it works. And so, yes, let us rejoice in all good, because the more you see yourself as this, you see yourself as that. So in other words, I saw myself in Linda's shoes, and I told her, don't diminish yourself either. I said, look at it too, that it's a learning curve for the both of us, because I told her I'm in the same boat in terms of the fact that I'm to honor myself and not just keep on giving away my gifts for free, as Patricia had told me. And the same thing for her. And then the both of us in a situation where we need to make, our finances need to go up and stuff and so forth. Because everybody who's going through this spiritual stuff has been going through some hardship. Everybody. But guess what? There is enough money and everything in abundance. And abundance is not only tied to money. Abundance is in everything and all things. You can have things come in abundance where somebody come and come with your doorstep and bring a whole box of tomatoes. Then the next day somebody bring you some bag of onions. Then all of a sudden you get an abundance of eggs. Then you get an abundance of children coming to your door with kisses and candy. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about abundance, okay? It's like the river of Jordan is flowing again. That's right, milk and honey. Milk and honey, the promised land. The promised land is not a physical place that we go. The promised land is within you, and it's within me. It's within all of us. This is how we bring forth our blessings. As I bless you, you bless me. Bless you. How are you? Remember I talk about the blessing and cursing? So no longer shall we be cursing the fig trees and the things that don't grow for our good. No more thistles and thorns or envies and jealousies, because there is enough of everything and everyone to go around. And when I say everyone, meaning that I love you, you love me. There's no, just one person you love. No, there is enough love to go around. And so let us continue to honor, to rejoice for each other's blessings, and no need to be thinking that we got to hide, our joy because someone else is not feeling their joy, because it's an inside job. It's an inside thing. And so when you feel that you are ready for the abundance in your life, it's not because you do something, it's because you start to be it. And then you know that it is done on earth as it is in heaven. So there, I'm glad to share this with you. And remember, the affirmation is, I rejoice in all good. In all good. And that's what I did. I rejoiced. I was rejoicing for Linda and the good that's here for her, not even coming on the way. It's already here. And I said, as I do, the affirmation is, I open the way for increased blessings to appear in my life. Because you see, the more that I'm blessed, she's blessed, and then she's blessed, and I'm blessed. We're both blessed. We're all blessed. And I told her, I said, the abundance is here now. I said, we're at a place where the wealth is returning to what was back then, and it's here now. The difference is that it's coming so much into fruition, so much everything's just going to turn golden again, and it's exciting. It is truly, truly exciting. So I'm so glad to have shared my joy with you, my blessing. And even if something turns one way and that way and this way and that way, like, have you ever seen a lassie? It's okay. Because you see, the spirit is always up to something, and sometimes there's some things, as God say, left up to be as a surprise. And so it is. So I'm very glad to have shared that story with you. And I'm going to go into the next story. Anyway, I am back. I paused for a bit, and I'm going to to play, actually, what I decided to do, I'm going to play a video, and this is a twin flame question and answer, part 1 with AJ from twinlights.com. And this was a great session. I have to thank Scott and Cici for this session, because what I love about all of us is, like I said, I'm the one, like I told Linda, is the detective of the universe. I'm putting all of the data together to do with ourselves. So that's why I said poo-poo on those who are, putting it out there that whatever information that they give is exclusive, because it makes me think about those churches where they think that they're the only ones that whatever they say is going to be saved. I mean, like, what is there to be saved? We're all a part of this together, and we all bring ourselves together collectively, based on different ideas, different thoughts, and everything. No one has to accept every single thing, to the T. You take some things with you, you leave the rest behind. And, you never know what you might be missing, because sometimes there's some stuff that I get, I may not have the words to place on it. And then when I hear somebody else talk about it, I'm like, aha, that's what that is. And this is a part of how it's important to understand when it comes to educating yourselves, when it comes to using a level of intelligence here. Okay? When you push aside someone else because you feel you don't want to hear it, guess what? You lose out. You are probably losing out, and you end up missing something because you just never know. And so right now, as I tune into the collective consciousness, it is time for us to truly pull together, because I believe now the time is now. We're all ready. Majority of us is ready, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. We're ready for the new food for the planet, the new food in all aspects, the physical and the spiritual. Okay, so I'm going to play the twin flame questions and answers, because they had excellent questions, excellent answers to help to clear up a lot of things. I totally resonate a majority of the stuff that was asked in this segment to do with twin flames, that everyone else has probably had the question, but they probably didn't understand it. And sometimes it takes another person to talk about it, which I love the idea with AJ, because you're hearing me talk as the feminine, and I love when I hear an aspect of a masculine that's explaining things as well. And he's not necessarily answering the question based on the masculine aspect. He's just explaining it from a male perspective. And, and sometimes we may ask a question, but the question is worded differently. So what I love about AJ is that he really, truly tunes in, is connected to source as far as how he answers the questions and understanding the questions. And even if it's repeated, a repeated question, he knows it's in relation to something he may have answered already. And there's no such thing as a dumb question, and there's no such thing as asking something too many times. Because why? Because you've heard me talk about the fact that the English language especially has so much room for misunderstandings, has so much room for miscommunications. So if you do not understand something, ask away. I love when people ask questions. That tells me that you are stimulating yourself, you're stimulating your mind, and you're allowing truth to flow through you, as well as knowledge and wisdom. So now I'm going to play the video, and this was actually okay, this is Twin Flame Union 11111, and this was actually, let me see what date it was, because I want to make sure I have the right date. Oftentimes okay, so this was published on April 29, 2016. So this was about 4 days ago. So I'm going to play it now. This is Cici, Scott, and AJ.
Cici and Scott, the special moment has arrived. Are you ready for this, guys?
I've been ready for weeks. I've been hyping this up every chance I got. So, yeah, I'm ready to go, Cici.
Yes,
I'm more than ready.
We have a very, very, very special guest joining us. Not only is he our very first special guest, but we also have a very special show planned for you guys. AJ from twinlights.com is here. Hi, AJ.
Hi.
He has agreed to come on our show and not only answer you guys' questions, which, by the way, thank you guys for those questions. Those were excellent questions that you sent us, but also to share some inside information that he is going to relate to us and tell us, and some of it may be heavy to process, guys, but it's great. He's great. Scott and I have been speaking with him, Scott a little longer than myself, and the time that I've spent with him, I now see why so many twins are going, this guy is awesome, this guy is great, and you'll see why we had to do the show. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys if you want to say anything before we begin.
I'll get into this maybe a little bit more in the main show that we do with AJ, but he's been a huge part of my twin flame journey. And if you guys listen to any of the activation shows on my journey, then you know that. So, we've referred a lot of you guys over to him for healing work and things like that, and heard nothing but amazing things, which does not surprise me one bit. So I don't think you guys want to listen to me blabber on too much longer. I want to welcome in our special guest, AJ from Twin Lights. So AJ, the floor is yours, my friend.
Yes, thank you. Thank you guys both. Wow, so many things to talk about. I honestly don't even know where to begin, but I wanted to share a little bit about my own personal twin flame journey, and it's very, very interesting because I'll be honest with you guys, everything for us started in December of 2012. My wife and I, we have twin girls. At the time, we had only our twin girls, and they were only a few months old, okay? And I'm going to share this story with you guys really quick. One night, I was asleep, and I just saw this blue light kind of flashing by our ceiling fan. And my wife was getting up to use the restroom, and, she got up and kind of stirred me a little bit, so I was still kind of half awake, half asleep, and I'm looking at the ceiling fan, and I just see this huge blue light just glowing. And I didn't really think anything of it at first, because, of course, I'm still kind of half asleep, kind of groggy, wiping my eyes and everything. And then I'm like trying to figure out what in the world was that? What did I just see? And so I'm thinking, okay, maybe it was one of our phones. Maybe somebody sent us a text message or a missed call, or the light from the phone or the message going off was just shining off of the phone, off of the ceiling. So what I did next, I literally stood on my bed, and I have both my wife's phone, both my phone. I'm pressing the buttons on the phone, trying to light up the screen, shine it on the ceiling. I'm like, there's no way that this bright light came from our phone. Mind you, the lights were completely off when I saw this light. They were completely on when I saw this light. So I was doing this with the lights off, and it still wasn't bright enough. So my wife comes back. She comes into the room, turns around the corner, and she's looking at me like I lost my mind. She's like, what are you doing? And I say, did you see that light? And she says, what are you talking about? What light? And I said, there was like this blue light that was just shining right here. You didn't see it. And, she just looked at me like I had lost my mind and I was going crazy. And I'm like, no, there was a light here. I know I saw it. I know I saw it. So long story short, it ended up being Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael was trying to communicate with us, basically. So all of a sudden, we started communicating with Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael told us the reason why he came to us, why he was sent to us, started speaking through my wife, because she's a channeler. And that's pretty much how our personal journey started. We were guided on many, 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 many things, many facets of our lives, many divine information, divine knowledge was shared with us, and we were basically guided to go on a journey to remember our true selves and who we truly are. So that's just a brief summary of my personal journey, how it started, how, how I found out even about twin flames. Because to be honest with you, I heard the term soulmates before, but this was ever my first time even hearing of the word twin flames. So a lot of the information that I have about twin flames is coming from the divine directly. This is not information that I Googled. This is not information that I did a Bing search on. This is information that was channeled to us directly. And I'm going to be sharing a lot of information with all of you guys.
Amazing story. And by the way, that's the first time Cici and I have heard that story. We heard it the first time you guys did. So amazing.
Absolutely. So hot off the soapbox press, and you know we love those. Wow.
Exactly.
So amazing. So AJ, before you awakened, even before Archangel Michael started communicating, looking back on it, were there any major signs or synchronicities about your wife to indicate that the two of you were twin flames?
Yes. We live in California. At the time, I lived in Los Angeles. She lived in Hollywood. And she would always say how much she felt protected whenever I was around her. And so we worked complete opposite shifts. I worked the night shift, she worked the morning. So I would get off at like midnight, basically, drive all the way out to Hollywood, stay with her, and, she would wait up just so that, she got a chance to spend some time with me. But at the same time, it was very hard for her to do so because of the shift differences, and she would always fall asleep. And she would always tell me how she had a difficult time sleeping without me because, she would always get weird sensations of stuff pressing on her, sensations of all these various types of different attacks and things of that nature. And going back, and again, this is all happening before Archangel Michael revealed the information that he did to us. There was a lot of synchronicities that I pretty much connected the dots on after the information that I found out about myself, herself, ourselves, etc. So this was just one instance of things that were trying to keep my wife and I apart while we were still dating. Another example is my car was broken into. Literally, somebody threw a brick through my driver's side door, through the door window, and they broke into my car. Nothing was taken. Except my iPod, which I thought was kind of funny.
That would have broken my heart.
Absolutely, I love my music.
You can't have my music.
Exactly. Take my car, but you can leave me with my iPod.
So I thought that it was kind of weird because literally a few days ago I was kind of joking with my wife and saying, because the part of Hollywood that she lived in, it was super busy. Literally, we could walk half a block and we're on Hollywood Boulevard, like right down the street. If anyone's familiar with LA, right down the street from Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles off of Gower, that Hollywood location, not La Brea or any of the other locations. But anyways, so we were very, 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 very close to like the main area of Hollywood. And I was making a joke to her and I was saying, what if, because I had to park so far away and then walk to her apartment, I was like, what happens if like somebody breaks into my car one day or something like that? And, it was weird. It's just, I guess, knowing what my gifts are now, I was pretty much willing to bet that it was some type of clear cognizant moment that I had. Because it just literally happened. I called it a few days ago, and then the next thing you know, I parked, and there's other cars parked there, but mine was the only one with the busted window. And I was like, okay. So anyways, long story short, I was able to later get confirmation after we did go through our quote-unquote awakening process that, yes, that was in fact something that was trying to deter me from continuing to see her, going back to her apartment and things of that nature. So that was the first synchronicity for me personally that I was able to connect the dots on. And then some of the stuff that she would tell me, because, again, she kept telling me how safe she felt around me, how protected she felt around me.
Right.
She was actually even talking to another psychic, and we were just friends. Actually, both of us were pretty much fresh out of a horrible relationship, and so we were just friends. And she told me that she started to develop feelings for me, and she was talking to this other person, and she just, this other person simply asked, well, what is his name? And as soon as she said my name to her, she grabbed her hand and she told my wife, hold on to him. He's the one. He's your protector. And she told me this, and I was like, well, what in the world does that mean? So that was another synchronicity, because as I go into more information about the twin flames, I'm going to talk about those things, because in a twin flame relationship, in any kind of soulmate relationship, to be honest with you, there is always one of them that is the protector of the relationship, of the dynamic, and things of that nature.
which I just learned that recently. You pointed that out to me recently. So.
But yet again, AJ, just everything that you say is just, it's like a light bulb goes off. That's another piece of the puzzle connecting, and I'm pretty sure a lot of our listeners are going to go, aha, that's an aha moment. Because a lot of our listeners are feeling that way, like they are the protector, like they're the one. And it's also a question that I think it's one of the questions that we're going to go through, where a lot of twins feel like, why am I the one that has to do this work? Why do I have to carry the heavy load? So now that makes sense. So now you know, one is assigned to protector. Awesome. I think what is every time you speak in here, I think I'm just going to go awesome throughout the entire show. So let me get it out now. This guy is awesome, guy.
I've got to get my own personal question in before we dive in. So, because this just came to me. So, with the quote unquote protector, is that typically going to be the quote unquote awakened twin, the twin that's spiritually awakened first, or is that not necessarily going to be the case always?
That's a very good question. To be honest with you, it doesn't matter. It could be the other one who there's the protector, and then there's the one who has, let's say, domain, if you will. In other words, they have the quote-unquote say-so. They have the final word, if you will. So it could be either one. It just depends on that individual's level. It depends on many factors, actually. So it could go either way. I've seen situations, and I've worked with clients where, the protector is awakened first, or aware consciously of the connection first, and the other is so vice versa. So it just depends.
So thank you for that. Now, this question came to me, AJ, is because some twin flame teachers say that when the divine masculine twin, whichever one embodies the divine masculine, when both twins come into union, will be the more, I don't know if I want to, for lack of a better word, the more powerful one or the more wiser one. Like, is that true, or does it not matter, or are both equally in the amount of power that they will emanate from the union? If that makes sense.
It does. And to be honest, it's not always the divine masculine. It's just typically whichever one is awakened first that ends up being that what you just mentioned in terms of what they bring to the table of the relationship. So it can be the protector. It can be the one who has domain. It just depends. Whoever's awakened first is typically going to be the main one who's contributing more towards the relationship. So actually, let's talk about this. I'm going to give a brief, let's say, introduction. Twin Flame 101, let's call it.
Twin Flame 111.
There you go. Twin Flame 111.
Yeah.
Get your notepads out, guys.
So here's what happens, because I want to explain a lot of information in terms of what truly happens in the twin flame dynamic and when twin flames come together, okay? First of all, there's a very significant purpose and reason for twin flames to come together. Yes, you still have your own individual journey, your own individual mission. However, there's always a joint mission as well, okay? So there's a few things that have to take place. And again, this also applies to soulmates because, again, all twin flames are a type of soulmate. However, not all soulmates are twin flames. And I'm going to go into more detail about that because I'm actually going to discuss the differences between the two and even how twin flames and soulmates are even created. So, anyways, back on track. Whenever twin flames come together, they automatically go through what I refer to as a releasing or a purging process. So this is any old energy, any repressed emotions, anything that either of them may be holding on to from previous incarnations. All of these things are brought to the surface, so to speak, so that you can acknowledge and release it. And the whole point of this particular process is, let's say it's to wipe the slate clean. It's to clear the foundation so that the two of you have a fresh foundation to build upon. Does this make sense?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
So, two things that typically happen during this particular process, and this is what I'm revealing to you guys right now. This is the true purpose. This is the true reason why people have the quote-unquote runner-chaser scenarios, okay? A lot of people have the misconception that, oh, you know, he or she is running because he's afraid of commitment, or that he's afraid of the connection that we have, or he or she is whatever the case may be. I'll be honest and blunt with you guys. This is false. Very false. This is what's going on, and this is what causes people to quote-unquote run. It's actually this, excuse me, this purging or releasing process. So think of it like this. Since this process is taking place on the subconscious and on a soul level, the individuals going through this process are typically not even consciously aware that this is going on. So a lot of the times they may have dreams, they may have visions, they may have random memories of previous lifetimes of traumatic events and things of that nature. And again, any energy or emotion that they've repressed all of a sudden start to come up. And it triggers automatically when you encounter your twin flame. And a lot of the times, since the person is not aware as to why these things are coming up, they tend to take out these random emotions and random feelings on their significant other. So this is what I refer to as lashing out. So lashing out would be basically like an emotional outburst. This releasing process may cause them to act and or do things that's typically not in their nature to do so, because all of these trapped, repressed, stuck energy and emotions are being brought to the surface. The second one is the running one. This is the acting distant. This is the hot and cold, the back and forth, the engaged and then withdrawn, however you want to phrase it. And the reason why they do this is because they're not running away from you nor the relationship. What they're running away from is, for lack of better wording, they're being forced to reconcile with a lot of things that they've repressed. Does this make sense?
Definitely.
Yes, definitely.
So this is what's causing them to quote-unquote run. It's almost like they're afraid to face themselves in the mirror. But the twin flame dynamic, since, again, the majority of twin flames are not even aware of this process, they internalize it and they take it personal. And they think, okay, maybe it's something that I'm doing, or maybe he or she doesn't care about me, or maybe they're talking to somebody else, or whatever insecurities that it may cause or bring up. So whenever I'm working with clients, especially if I'm doing like a twin flame reading or just any other type of reading, and it happens to be a twin flame that I'm reading, I always explain this to them. I always explain this to them to let them know what's going on behind the scenes, so that they have a thorough understanding of this process. Now, there's another caveat that I want to explain in regards to this process, and that's if this individual has karma that they need to resolve, okay? And I'm going to use this as an analogy to help all of you guys understand. Picture this releasing process as you printing a large document, okay? And picture the karmic tie as being a paper jam. Does this make sense? In other words, when you're going through this releasing process, if a karmic tie is present, you will not be able to release the things that you need to release. You need to resolve that karma first. And this is why a lot of times people will have what you guys refer to as karmic partners or karmic soulmates, which is really just more so than a person that they have a karmic tie to. It does not necessarily mean that you have a soul connection to that person. You can have a karmic tie to somebody that you have a soul connection with, but you could have a karmic tie to just about anyone. Excuse me. Right. So resolve that karma first. It's the karma that's causing these things to be stagnant, because again, the twin flame process causes these repressed emotions, these traumatic events, etc., from previous lifetimes to be brought up. So basically what's going on is all of these things are rising to the surface, but they're just sitting there stagnant because the karmic tie is not allowing them to pass. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, just real quick, I was going to say, back to the lashing out and the karmic ties and everything, and we try and explain this to our listeners all the time, that things are said, things happen, they run away, and we just try to make them understand this is not this is not the person that you'll eventually be in union with. They haven't stepped into their true soul essence yet. So obviously things get upsetting in the third dimension physical plane down here, but you have to realize it's a process, and that is not the full true person that you will be in union with when the process gets to that point. It needs to play out.
Very correct. Very, very, very correct. I agree 111%, like you said. I'm going to borrow your line, Scott.
You can have that line anytime.
But you know what? To be honest, this is exactly what I personally tell clients that I work with. I explain to them this process, and I say, if especially if they're lashing out, because to be honest with you, in my humble opinion, that is the worst of the two. It's easier to deal with somebody acting distant than it is for somebody to be degrading or belittling or anything like that. So what I typically recommend people to do is, and I always acknowledge that I know and I understand that it's not going to be easy, it's not going to be fun, but if somebody is lashing out on you, you cannot take it personal, because this is not their true heart. This is not what's coming from their heart. It's not coming from their heart at all. Right. It's not even coming from their ego. It's coming from repressed issues that are being brought forth. Simple as that. But again, I'm the type of person I like to try to educate people. I like to try to let them know this is how things work, because, Scott, you always say knowledge is power, and I want to add a little piece onto that. Knowledge is power only if you apply it. Mm-hmm. Applied knowledge is power, because if you have the knowledge and you do not use it, that it's not powerful. Does that make sense?
Right.
So yes, it does. Absolutely. It makes sense. Absolutely. AJ, that's what I tell our clients. Scott and I tell our listeners, our clients, that as well. Like, do not take it personally. But sometimes, and there are some twins that are dealing with, and please stop me if I'm off beat here, but they're dealing with a severe case of lashing out, like verbal abuse, physical abuse, maybe even sexual abuse. So what would you recommend to those twins that are dealing with the extreme cases of lashing out?
Well, to be honest with you, if it's a severe case like that, it actually may be karma related. Now, you cannot resolve somebody else's karma. That's strictly forbidden. They have to do it for themselves. And what I typically recommend people to do in that sense is to pray for them. Now, the more specific the prayer, the better, to be honest with you. It's the exact opposite in terms of how you're phrasing or how you word things than when praying, in other words, compared to, let's say, working with the law of attraction. When you're trying to manifest things, actually the more vague, the better, because you're not locking yourself into a box. But when you're praying, the stronger and the more specific that prayer is, the more powerful it is. And if it's a karmic-related thing, it's ideal to include that verbiage in your prayer. So in other words, if somebody has a karmic tie, and you may be praying for them all day long and saying, please help this person, please allow us to come together, et cetera, that's not specific enough. I'll be honest with you. They're going to listen to your prayer. They're going to help, but they're going to need that extra little nudge, if you will, that extra little request, because, again, due to free will, they're not going to interfere without you requesting. And the more specific that your request is, the more significant that potential blessing or that answer of that request may be. So if anyone has a karmic tie, if anyone has any issue in regards to a specific whatever it may be, abuse, verbal, psychological, mental, etc., you need to pray, especially if it's karmic related. If it is karmic related, then you want to pray to the divine and ask them literally to intervene. Ask them to please guide my twin, he or she, whatever the case may be, and please give them the support, help, and guidance they need to overcome this karmic issue so that it can be resolved, so that we can move forward in our relationship or in our union. That's
Absolutely.
the best advice I could give you in terms of how to handle a situation like that.
Fascinating you said that, because not to go into all the details of my journey, but you've helped me quite a bit, and I've reached a point where with my twin, she needs to resolve a karmic issue, and I literally started doing that a few days ago. I started saying prayers that were very, very specific to the situation that needs to be resolved. So,
very good.
So that's great confirmation to know that I was on the right path for that. So thank you.
Yeah, not a problem.
Very good. This is very, very good, Scott, because we know you can be somewhat stubborn sometimes. So it's always nice when you're adhering to advice. It's the Capricorn in you.
You know what? I gotta say this, because I've heard you say the stubborn Capricorn thing, and I know I told Scott this, but I didn't tell you this, Cici, because I'm actually a Capricorn as well.
Oh my goodness!
Cici.
Oh my goodness! Guys are ganging up on me. Two Capricorns.
I'm afraid you are outnumbered, my friend.
Oh my goodness! Help me, guys. But yeah, it's true. But Aquarius can be stubborn too. So you're in good company.
There's no doubt about it. The Capricorn twin flames are brilliant, Cici. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
I concur.
Oh, yes, you would. But yes, I am in the company of two very brilliant Capricorns, guys. And I think all of you pretty much know that by now. Many of you are familiar with Scott. Many of you are familiar with AJ. And they're brilliant, guys. I can't say that enough. So, and those of you that are not familiar with AJ will see his brilliance as this show continues. Right, Scott?
Absolutely. So, AJ, is there more that you wanted to get into before the Q&A? I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, not a problem. Yeah, let me just also address this. And this may kind of answer one of the questions, because if I remember correctly, one of the questions was what are some signs, so to speak, that you're with your twin flame? Well, this is one of them, this releasing process. These random emotions, these random memories, these old or ancient memories sometimes that you may have, and visions or dreams or whatever the case may be. Another thing, any and all intuitive abilities sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes are significantly heightened when you're with your twin flame. There's a very good reason for that. I'm going to kind of backtrack into that, because I want to talk about a few other things first before I get to that. So don't worry, I'm not going to forget to cover that first. But now we could cover the Q&As.
All right. Well, first off, I want to say thank you, guys. A couple of days ago, we did a quick update asking for questions for AJ, and we pretty much got buried, which was great. We had an amazing variety of questions from Twitter, Facebook, from the YouTube channel. So we, without further ado, I'm gonna dive right into it. This comes from Ashley from Twitter, and AJ, her question is: besides prayer and meditation, what are some other ways to protect my twin and I? Since my twin and I have met, we have been under constant attack, and I want to protect us and our future children.
Very good. See, this is a perfect example of what I meant by always one is the protector. Ashley, you are the protector in this relationship. You have a protective energy. You just need to unlock it. So email me or email them, get my contact information from them, either one, and I'll show you how you could either protect yourself, or this is actually how I'm even able to offer that protective light service that's on my website. You could do that as well. So either way, you have the ability to protect yourself, or you could get the protection that I offer. The protection that I offer, it is with you for life, and it has a very, very, very high level, because when you protect somebody, when you're able to literally project protection onto another person, place, thing, object, etc., won't go into detail about that right now. It highly depends on what consciousness level that you are currently at in regards to how effective your protection will be. So what I would recommend for you specifically is work on expanding your consciousness. Because when you do that, that's going to allow you to be and increase your own abilities to protect yourself and protect your twin flame. But in the meantime, if need be, again, you can get the protection from me as well, because it's significantly high. Let's just say that.
Amazing. Okay. Amazing. Thank you for that, AJ. We're going to get into the second question, which we received from Alex Montfort Mills from YouTube and from Siri from our email group. Hi, guys. Their question is, and this is one that a lot of twins struggle with, so I know, guys, get your ears up to the computer or the smartphone, whatever you're listening to us on, guys. How do you deal with a twin who is highly addicted to substances like alcohol or drugs, or is dealing with sex addictions, group sex, polygamy, arranged marriages, etc.?
Again, this is also somewhat tied to the karmic issue, because I'll be honest, the majority of severe issues like that is going to be karma related, without a doubt. So the best thing to do in those situations is to pray for that specific issue that they have a hard time overcoming. And you see, let me explain really quick about how karma works, because a lot of people believe that karma is, tit for a tat, eye for an eye, whatever the case may be. Right. This is somewhat true, somewhat false. You could have good karma, you could have bad karma, you could even have neutral karma. Okay, karma is created whenever somebody's destiny, life purpose is altered. And it depends on the severity of that alteration. In other words, the severity of that alteration determines how strong, let's say, or for lack of better wording, that karma created is. So, in a severe case like that, if it's something that is deeply embedded in his psyche, his or her psyche, definitely pray, ask for help on that. Now, there is things that you could do to help in terms of energy related that would not do with the karma, but more so the false beliefs that these types of patterns develop. And what I mean by a false belief is, let me explain it this way. Have you ever heard of the saying, it takes a week to do something or make it a habit? I want you to think about this for a second. If somebody is doing something for a week, only a week, and it turns into a habit, then think about this. Think about somebody that has been doing something for literally lifetimes and how much of a deep habit that could form. To be honest with you, some of these false beliefs are stored on a subatomic level, meaning that they're literally stuck in between, the protons, the electrons, etc. of the atom. So this is how deep sometimes the energy work has to go in order to release these repressed emotions, these false beliefs, and whatever the case may be. So, again, the best thing to do with that is prayer. But if it is something really, really severe to where it's a trapped emotion, a trapped incident that's on an atomic or subatomic level, definitely energy work is going to be needed.
Tying that into the next question, I've got quite a difficult karmic situation with my twin, but I've been able to keep such a positive attitude because I have a very strong connection to my twin's higher self. And so does Cici, for that matter. She drops in all the time to talk to both of us. And she just recently told me that I would see her soon. So it's things like that keep me going. But we get this question all the time from a lot of people. But in this case, it came from Deepa from email and our good friend Jatori. Hi, Jatori.
Jatori.
They're asking, how can I better connect with my twin's higher self for communication and healing?
Strengthen the connection with your own higher self first and foremost, because all divine communication is, I don't want to say filtered, but let's say, for lack of better wording, it's passed down through your higher self, period. Does not matter what form of communication, clairaudience, claircognizance, clairsentience, empathic abilities, all divine gifts are passed down through your higher self. Your higher self is fifth dimensional. Your subconsciousness is within your etheric body, which is fourth dimensional. Then, of course, your third dimensional ego, which is within your physical body. So this is highly, highly, highly recommended. If you want to strengthen your communication with any divine being, simply strengthen your communication and your link to your own higher self first.
Well said. I've never heard it. I've never heard it explained in that fashion before. That was great.
Me either. That was excellent, AJ. So I think these questions are linked. It was probably done that way by the universe. Cat Buzz TV from our email group would like to know, and this is another one, hot question and topic in the twin flame community. Why does the divine feminine have to do more quote unquote work with purging, clearing energy? What does the divine
They're disagreeing.
They're disagreeing.
So, yeah, they're disagreeing. They're saying this is false.
There you have it.
There you have it, guys. There you have it, guys. So the second part of Cat Buzz TV's question is, what does the divine masculine experience while the feminine is suffering, purging so much?
Oh, they're disagreeing again. It's not. It's not. It's basically how I'm understanding, because they're showing it to me now. 1 second. Okay. It's not so much a process or a part of the process that's strictly limited to the divine masculine or the divine feminine, because those roles, not the polarity, in other words, but the role itself that one may take on switches all the time. So it's not just limited to, the divine masculine has to work on this and the divine feminine doesn't have to work on that, or vice versa. It just depends. So either one, both have their fair share of what they need to do. One does not do more or less than the other, or anything different, so to speak, than the other. It just depends on that particular twin flame group or union.
So thank you so much for saying that. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to say, so in essence, what you or your team are saying is, though, looks can be deceiving, that the quote-unquote sleeping, unawakened twin, it may look like they're not doing work, so to speak, but they are. Is that essentially kind of what you're saying?
Yes, they're agreeing with that as well. And basically, just because your third dimensional ego is asleep, I could assure you it does not mean that the other 13 aspects of your soul complex are asleep. It's actually the quite opposite. Your ego is the only one that goes through amnesia.
Right.
Right. And thank you so much thank you for that question, Cat Buzz TV, and thank you, AJ, and your team as well. Thank you for answering that, because that's a big, huge misconception in the twin flame community, and that's what leads to a lot of what's the word I'm looking for here? A lot of sadness, a lot of anger, especially with the awakened twins, because it looks like the awakened twin is doing all the work, is asking to clear their energy, asking to be celibate, and our twins counterparts are on their social media sites flashing pictures of them being with their karmic partners, living in houses, going on trips, and we want to convey that both twins are doing the work. It just may look differently in 3D, but both twins are working for the same goal.
Correct. Very, very, very well said. I commend you. Because that's exactly what's going on. Not a problem. But that's exactly what's going on, because on the higher levels, if you will, there's many things going on. And just because it may appear that he or she is asleep, which I guess, you can say that typically they are, a lot of people will throw in the towel just because of that. They're saying, well, I don't want to sit here and twiddle my thumbs and play and wait for him to play catch up, or wait for her to play catch up. I want this to happen now. And to be honest with you, as a society, many people are impatient just because of that. They want things right away because they're used to getting things right away. There's so many, and this is not even
the fast food mentality.
Subject. Yeah. Exactly. There's so many people that don't even know how to cook anymore because they're so used to microwaving things.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many people who can't drive stick. This is a silly example, but they're so used to automatics. But it's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's true. Everyone is so used to doing things and wanting things right now at the snap of a finger, and the divine does not work like that. Everything is going to happen on the divine's timing, period.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's just that a lot of people, they think that they know when is the best timing for them. And, you know, I'll be completely honest with you guys. Unfortunately, you don't. Or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at
it. Absolutely. I agree with that, AJ, because we get a lot of comments and emails and posts where twins that even know about the activations, which I think if you're a twin on this planet, the activations have somehow reached you, but a lot of twins are going, well, I'm awakened now, or I'm activated now. They want their twin to immediately be where they are. They're not even affording their twin the process of their own awakening. Like, we have to awaken as well. And some of our awakenings took years. So now you just want your twin to magically be where you are. It doesn't work that way.
Exactly. Very well said. Yeah.
And I just have to say for my beautiful twin's higher self, because I know she's listening, I already knew you were doing a lot of work. She pretty much blasts through, and she does whatever it takes to get a hold of me. So she's always working hard. All right. So this next question comes from Debbie from email. Great question. She says, how do you know when your twin is fulfilling a necessary life lesson with a karmic partner versus dealing with the light versus the dark? Or can they be the one and the same?
That's an interesting question.
Yes, it is.
It's not necessarily about knowing, to be honest with you. I mean, it's going to be, in other words, it's going to be hard for you to know, especially if you're not intuitive yourself, especially if you don't have the ability to pick up on things. But even if you do, to be honest with you, because of the proximity that you have to this person, it may be difficult. So in other words, like, for an example, I cannot read for my wife. She cannot read for me because we're too close. Does this make sense? So
absolutely.
In situations like that, you know, I would suggest finding somebody that you trust who's of love and light, who has good intentions to guide you through that. Because you may be able to pick up on some things yourself, especially if there's like negative energy or various things like that, because your team, your own spiritual team of guides, angels, etc., that are around you are always going to look out for you. So they're going to give you nudges and warnings if there's something astray, or if there's something lurking, or if there's anything that's not of love and light going on, or attempting to, at least. So, but if it's a karmic issue, those are much harder to identify unless you were able to see it, or in various things like that. And to be honest with you, again, it's going to be come down to the point to where you won't be able to read that information for your significant other because of the proximity. So unfortunately, I don't want to say that you're going to have to rely on a third party, but it would be a good idea to get a neutral third party involved. That way it's not going to be biased information one way or another, and they'll be able to share and divulge more information in terms of what's going on to your specific situation directly.
Interesting.
Wow, perfect. And I thank you again for saying that, AJ. See how these questions and answers are connected, because it goes back to your other answer with build a connection to your higher self. Because the more that you get out of victim mentality and you get into your higher self, your connection, these answers will come to you, either through your divine team, or even if the universe has to send a third-party messenger to you to say, this is what's going on, it's going to happen. So you have to be open to the signs. Like, if you're on this path and you're awakened, you have to be on alert 24 hours a day regarding the signs and the synchronicities that come to you, because they pretty much mean something, you know?
Exactly.
Moving on to the next question. This comes from Rachel from our email group. what is the difference between twin flames and light workers?
Oh, very, very interesting question. Twin flames are a type of soulmate. I'll cover this very briefly. This is going to be a very high-level overview, but I'm going to try to make it easy for it to be understood on a mass scale. So, first of all, you have to think about what a soul is. A soul is literally consciousness without form. However, higher aspects of your consciousness do in fact have forms. These are what are called light bodies. So, Scott, you mentioned, you didn't know how parts of the soul could have stuff implanted and devices and different things like that placed within them. This is how. These beings that are not of love and light, they target the higher aspects of your soul's light bodies, okay? But anyways, so there's 14 consciousness levels. All 14 make up what's called the soul complex, okay? And in order to understand what twin flames and soulmates are and how they're created, we have to talk about two in particular. So we have the oversoul. The oversoul is, if I remember correctly, eighth dimensional. That's the eighth, yes. So the oversoul is basically male and female energy. There's two oversouls. There's a male oversoul and a female oversoul, okay? They create or manifest what are called monads, and these are what are called the soul families. It's the monad that determines whether you are a twin flame or not, okay? If you're in the last two monads that are created, this would be what I refer to as the twin flame position. If you're in some of the earlier monads that are created, you are a soulmate. So the monads have the ability to manifest an unlimited amount of higher selves. And of course, the higher self creates the subconsciousness and the ego. So this is how it works. The twin flame dynamic is not on the higher self level. It's above that. It's on the monad level. So a light worker, the other half of the question, a light worker, a lot of people actually misuse this term. A lot of people think that light workers are anyone who does energy work, that works with the light, that works with the divine, etc., etc. This is false. The true definition of a light worker is, in fact, an angelic being. So, you've heard of earth angels. Earth angels are angelic beings that are sent to incarnate in human form to help with the planet, help with humanity, etc., etc. All light workers are earth angels. All of them. That's the true definition of a true light worker is an angelic being. However, not all earth angels are light workers. So the same thing with twin flames. All twin flames are soulmates, but not all soulmates are twin flames. So if you're a light worker, basically the difference between a light worker and a quote-unquote regular earth angel is this. All earth angels have the ability to heal. All angels, period, have the ability to heal. However, light workers are given an additional energy, if you will, that they utilize for their universal work. So they have this natural angelic seventh dimensional healing ability, and then they have another frequency or another energy that they utilize for their universal work. And that is the difference between a light worker and a quote-unquote regular earth angel.
Yeah, and it's interesting because AJ explained that to me about a week ago, and I'll be honest. I'm always honest with you guys on this channel. I did not know a lot of what he just explained, so I definitely have learned a lot from AJ.
Absolutely, I'm learning a lot now, guys. Absolutely. This is amazing.
This question comes up a lot, and recently we got it from Sky from email and Sasha from Facebook. Okay. Is it possible for a novice to heal themselves energetically? How does one know whether or not the healing they are receiving is effective?
Very good question. It depends on what their definition of a novice is. So let me address it this way. This is actually something that I've explained to you, Scott, before. When doing any kind of energy work, I won't speak for other energy healers, but I will speak for myself. There's three areas that you want to look at. You want to look at what I refer to as the location. you want to look at what I refer to as the depth, and then you want to look at what I refer to as the level. So I'll explain in greater detail right now. The location would be where the work needs to be done. So, for example, let's say somebody has an implant in their crown chakra, okay? That would be the location of the implant. The location that is in the crown chakra. The depth would be how far into our multidimensional existence does this implant go? So in other words, is this only on the crown chakra within the physical body? Is it on the crown chakra within the etheric body, or the mental, or the emotional, or the casual, or the celestial? So we are multidimensional beings. This means that we have multidimensional bodies. So the depth is referred to as how deep this location is. The level is where it's placed on, what consciousness level it's placed on. So, for example, if this implant is in the crown chakra, and it's both within the mental body and the physical body, and it is on, let's say, the 14th consciousness level, if an individual is not at that particular level, then they will not even be made aware that that implant exists. In other words, you cannot be consciously aware of something that is beyond your consciousness level. Does this make sense?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is what I when I work with other healers, I explain this to them, because a lot of the times they'll be like, well, I've been doing all this work, and I've been doing this, and I've been doing that, and nothing is working. And I explain this to them. It's because, and they think that I'm being, like I'm trying to put them down, and I'm not. I'm educating them. I'm saying, your consciousness level is too low to address this issue because it exists on a higher level than what you can even work at. And they're like, oh, okay.
It's kind of like my responses the past 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
But that's the best thing. Whenever you're doing work, whether it be for another person or for yourself, again, it always goes back to consciousness level. The higher your consciousness level is, the more potentially that you could address and do for yourself, for others, etc.
Wow, amazing. So the next question comes from Mischief from our YouTube group. Are twin flame dream encounters essentially 5D interactions or something else? Great question.
This is an interesting question. It depends on if it's actually a dream or not. Because a lot of the times, especially how connected you may be with your higher self, you may get visions and different things like that, or actually experience or see things, rather, from your higher self's perspective that technically would not be considered a dream. However, where there's an area within the astral plane where these dreams take place. There's 3 areas, actually. One of them is called the common or shared area. One of them is called the dream time space or dream area. And then the other one is called the manifesting area. So if you're truly having a dream, then, your twin flame's higher self and or your higher self may actually go to this particular area to give you messages in your dream. So it really depends, because just because you have a vision, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a quote-unquote dream. It could be a vision. It could be you seeing things from your higher self's perspective, or it actually could be a dream. So it just depends. But I'm sorry, to answer the question more specifically, if it is from your higher self, then yes, it is 5th dimensional. If it is a dream, well, technically there's no dimensions in the astral plane, so everything is happening at once in the astral plane. There's no such thing as dimensions. There's no such thing as time.
Amazing. And again, taking it back to building that connection with building a higher consciousness, and getting into your own connection, because I think the further you evolve and awaken, you'll begin to know the difference. Like, my psychic abilities, even before I awakened, started manifesting. I started having visions in my dreams of things happening. And then after I awakened, now I have that's how my twin's higher self primarily comes to me. So now I've gotten really good. First, I keep a dream journal of all of my dreams, but I'm getting really good at deciphering what's visions of the future or messages for me versus just, I watch too many horror movies, now I'm having a crazy dream, versus, I love chiller TV, by the way, I'm a junkie, but also my twin's visitation, so I think, it goes back once again to one of AJ's brilliant answers, build that connection with your higher consciousness.
Correct.
Yeah, and AJ, we talked about this on one of our conversations, that everyone's abilities are a little different, right? Because I never have dreams about my twin flame, and for a while that really bothered me with all of Cici's crazy stories and visions and dreams, and I started to think, well, what the heck's wrong with me, But it's interesting, I've talked to other twins lately, and they tell me the same thing. Oh, no, I never have dreams. Because with me, I get the claircognizance. I just have that inner knowing. All of a sudden, I just know something.
Yeah.
I have the ability to actually, I don't know if I've told you this, AJ, I can see my twin's higher self in the form of whiffs of light that dance in front of my face. And I don't know if it's from her or spirit guides, but quite often at night, I hear them.
It is her? It's a claircognizant vision, because you remember, claircognizance is actually my main gift. And you do have the ability to have visions with claircognizance. It's tied to your pituitary gland versus your pineal gland, like clairvoyant. Now, here's the difference between the two. Clairvoyants, they see things as how they are, and then you have to decipher the information based on the image. Does this make sense? With claircognizant visions, the information is the vision, is formed around the information. So it's almost like CGI, because it can sometimes look animated. I call it CCGI, claircognizant generated images.
Okay.
But then I'm happy that you pointed that out, Scott, because I think everyone on this path needs to know that we are all unique and different, because there are ways that your twin's higher self communicates with you that I don't get, and vice versa. Like it won't look the same for everybody. Although it may look common for a lot of us, everyone is unique and different.
Yeah, and I told this story, I think in one of my journeys, the first time I had, the quote unquote, the talk with my twin about our connection, it was pretty rough. She was pretty defiant. And I got home and I was kind of shaken up, upset, wondering, did I do the right thing? Well, I laid in bed that night thinking, and as I started to fall asleep, I clearly heard a voice say my name right into my ear. Now, I'm pretty sure that came from my twin's higher self, but I know that doesn't happen to everyone. So everyone's abilities are different depending on, you and your gifts. So.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm a little bit of everything. The only thing I don't have is empathy. That sounded kind of bad, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, that didn't sound good. but we understand what you meant.
Yeah, I'm not an empathic person. I don't have that gift, in other words.
So AJ, we're about halfway through the question, so I should ask you, how are you on time at the moment?